All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to explore a tale of two absolutely massive river systems. They're on complete opposite sides of the planet, but they're both defined by the water that gives them life. In one corner, you've got the legendary Amazon in South America, and in the other, the sprawling Ganga-Brahmaputra in the Indian subcontinent. So, how does life not just survive, but thrive in these two totally different, powerful worlds? Let's find out.
And this quote, it really nails it, doesn't it? No matter how different these places look, the basic human needs, food, clothing, shelter, they're exactly the same for everyone. So the big question is, how do you manage that? How have people figured out how to get what they need, living with and sometimes fighting against these immense forces of nature? Okay, so take a look at this. Here they are. On your left, that massive splash of green, that's the Amazon basin. It's not just a river, it's like the green heart of the planet, stretching across a bunch of countries. And on the right, you see the Ganga-Brahmaputra, kind of cradled by the Himalayas, flowing right through one of the most packed places on Earth. I mean, the scale is just mind-blowing. And trust me, these maps barely scratch the surface of what's really going on down there. All right, so to really get a grip on these places, we've got to start from the ground up. Let's dive into these two great river worlds. So first things first, let's get a key idea straight. What even is a river basin? Think of it like this. It's not just the main river. It's everything that drains into it. Every little stream, every creek, the whole area. And when we talk about the Amazon's basin, well, it's not just big. It is literally the largest one in the world. No contest. Okay, so we've got the basic layout. Now let's get into what really makes these places tick. The climate, the land, and the water. This is the stuff that shapes everything else. And right away, the differences are just huge. The Amazon, it's basically one season all year round. Hot, wet, and sticky. You can pretty much count on rain every single day. But the Ganga-Brahmaputra, totally different story. It lives and breathes by the seasons. You get these blazing hot summers, then the monsoon rains come pouring down, followed by cool, dry winters. That single difference, well, it changes absolutely everything. And you see that difference in the land itself, too. The Amazon is this huge, mostly flat basin, just covered in that unbelievably dense rainforest. The Ganga-Brahmaputra, though, is a world of contrasts. You've got everything from the towering Himalayas to rolling foothills to these massive, flat, fertile plains, and finally, that famous Sundarban's Delta. The shape of the land dictates what can grow, where people can live, the whole shebang.
So with environments that are so incredibly different, you'd expect to see some pretty amazing and unique life, right? Well, you'd be right. It's a total explosion of plants and animals that have adapted in the most brilliant ways.
Let's start in the Amazon. I mean, look at this toucan with that bright splash of color and that almost ridiculously big bill. It's the perfect symbol of just how vibrant and, well, wonderfully weird the rainforest can be. Now, let's zip halfway across the world to the grassy plains of the Brahmaputra. Here we've got the one-horned rhino. This guy is a massive, walking tank of an animal, perfectly built for life out in these open, river-fed grasslands. And we're back to the Amazon to find the tapir. It's such a unique animal, kind of like a pig with a little trunk, and it's another one of those classic forest dwellers, just wandering through the dense plants on the rainforest floor. And of course, we can't forget the king of the Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta, the Bengal tiger. This is the top predator here, a powerful hunter that's actually adapted to living in those mangrove forests. It's a pretty amazing symbol of the wildness that's still there, even in such a crowded part of the world.
And the plant life is just as different. In the Amazon, the rainforest canopy is so thick that the ground is always dark and damp. It's the perfect spot for plants that live on other plants like orchids and bromeliads. But in the Ganga-Brahmaputra, the seasonal changes mean you get tropical trees like teak and sal, tons of bamboo, and of course those incredible mangrove forests down in the delta that can actually survive in salt water. Okay, so this brings us to the really big question. With all this incredible nature, where do people fit in? Let's take a look at how they live, how they farm, and what they eat in these completely different worlds.
The way people have settled these lands couldn't be more different. The Amazon rainforest is really sparsely populated. Traditionally, it's been home to indigenous communities living right inside the forest. The Ganga-Brahmaputra, on the other hand, is one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Why? Well, those enormous, fertile plains are just perfect for farming, which is why they support huge, ancient cities like Varanasi and Kolkata. So that makes you wonder, How do you even farm in a rainforest where the soil isn't actually that great for crops? Well, the traditional way is something called slash and burn. Basically, farmers clear a small patch of forest, burn everything to get a quick burst of nutrients into the soil, and then plant their crops for a few years. After that, they move to a new spot and let the old one recover. It works fine on a small scale, but it can be really destructive when you ramp it up.
Now check this out. This is an amazing example of adaptation in the Ganga-Brahmaputra. In the mountains, you don't exactly have a lot of flat land to plant on. So, what do? You make it. This is terrace farming, where people literally carve steps into the hillsides. It gives them flat ground to plant on, and, this is key, it stops all the precious soil and water from just washing away. It's absolutely ingenious. And of course, what people eat is a direct result of where they live. Down in the Amazon, the main staple is manioc, which you might know as cassava. For protein, people hunt and fish, but they also eat some pretty unique stuff like queen ants and their egg sacs. Over in the Ganga-Brahmaputra, with those huge rivers and flat plains, it's no surprise that the staple diet is rice and fish. Yeah, this image of rice paddies really tells the whole story, doesn't it? This is the engine that feeds millions upon millions of people. Growing rice takes a ton of water and flat, fertile land, which is exactly what the Ganga-Brahmaputra plains have in abundance. It's the main job for so many people in the region. But here's the thing. These ancient ways of life are now crashing up against some really intense modern pressures. Both of these incredible ecosystems are facing some pretty fragile futures, but the threats they're facing look very, very different. For the Amazon, the #1 enemy is deforestation. I mean, this forest that was once almost impossible to get through is now being cut down at a terrifying speed. A big turning point was the Trans-Amazon Highway back in the 70s. It basically cracked the forest wide open for big-scale farming and cattle ranching. And you can see the result. A vibrant, living forest is just disappearing. Now, over in the Ganga-Brahmaputra, the threat is different, but it's no less scary. Here, it's all about pollution. You've got these huge cities, tons of factories, all right on the riverbanks, and all that untreated wastewater is just pouring directly into the rivers, making them toxic. It kills off aquatic life, and even worse, it's a direct threat to the millions and millions of people who need that water to live. So that leaves us with a really tough question, right? You've got the Amazon's forests vanishing and the Ganga's waters getting poisoned. Both of these incredible places are stuck in this huge tug of war between human progress and saving nature itself. And figuring out how to balance those two things, well, that's one of the biggest challenges we all face. Thanks for exploring it with me.